Hi, this is Steering Online Success in STEM. I'm Anthony Buonaquisti. I'm part of the physics faculty at HCC Maybury, and we're going to talk about some topics today. General tips, training, quizzing, and testing, which is a big one for me. Zoom office hours and tutorials, which is also a big one for me, and then online labs, which was the main focus I wanted to talk about. And then finally, there's a little bit on future hopes. General. Okay, your first video is not your last video. I remember when I first started doing this, I spent all my time trying to make the videos perfect. Don't. Just basically make videos and rely on the fact that even though they're not perfect, try to make them as good as they need to be for now. And you can rely on the fact that as you create more videos, they will get better and require less effort from you. So rather than making a video and editing the heck out of it, just make a number of videos and you'll find that as time passes, you'll get better and better at it, and the product will improve. It'll be very natural. Find a way that works for you. I hate red text. I tend to use a method of short videos that have a conversational style to them. Keep videos short and conversational. That's my advice. And then keep your text simple. I started getting ambitious and I had external microphones and the like. And then I found that my lip sync was not going with the sound. And it took me like 2 days trying to track it down. And in the end, I said, I'm going back to using a webcam and it works just fine. So you can get fancy when you've got the luxury that all your materials are done. But until then, keep your system simple. So when I first started doing this and I saw that I was going to be testing over a period of time rather than at one instant, I'm teaching online. So in the spirit of online, I said, I'm going to spread my tests out over a week. I realized I couldn't have the same test all the time. So I went test banks. And what I found was I spent a long time figuring out what I wanted the test banks to be. And I really started thinking about, what do I want these students to know? And I'd never really thought about it. I intuitively knew, and if you had asked me, I could have given you the 3 main topics, but I never structurally thought about it with as much depth as I needed to. And when I was doing test banks, it really helped me decide, let's try and get a pen on this, it really helped me decide what I really wanted students to know. And then what I found was, once I had those ideas sorted out, I knew what I was training them in. So I really focused my attention. The mechanism of test banks is great for quizzing students on what I've trained them in. So basically, I could have test bank quizzes to train people. I can have test banks that have questions that train people. I can have test banks that have questions that quiz people. And then I can have test banks that I use to examine people more formally. And the structure's there. And it's like suddenly I have a mechanism to enable them to go to the gym and practice, and then to think about these topics a little bit more, and then finally bring it all together in a test. So I love test banks. Embrace them. Don't regard them as being a pain. Embrace them. And as far as testing was concerned, I was really concerned about security, and I'm finding that Honorlock is working fine. We were all really nervous at the beginning, and then we found that, it works. So again, don't worry so much about Honorlock. That's not the issue. I can look at what students are doing when they're doing the test, and I can decide whether it's okay or not okay. So I like Honorlock. Zoom, I love Zoom. I do my office hours via Zoom. I have one set of office hours for my Physics 1 class. I have a separate set for Physics 2. I'm getting, so first of all, I'd say Zoom is wonderful. I'm getting more student questions. I'm getting better student questions. With Zoom, everybody has a seat. There's not 5 people stood in your office trying to get a seat, and everybody can see what you write. It's beautiful. Also with Zoom, everybody can watch the recording of the meeting. Now, in truth, I'm not recording every meeting these days. And what I'm going to do, I think, in the future is I'm going to record meetings for like a week or maybe until the next exam so people can look and catch up. We have a problem with space, basically, just how much can we have recorded. The other thing I found was that students sometimes, you'd see them get a little bit tense when they realized they were asking a question and it was being recorded. So what I've started doing is pausing the Zoom when people are asking me a question, and then I'll record when I answer the question, and I'll say what the question was. So there's ways around it. You get better and better again with practice, I think. Online labs, I'm a scientist, labs are central to me. I think physics teaches people how to analyze data. We don't teach people skills that necessarily are dangerous if you get them wrong. Yeah, you could have a problem with electricity, but it's not like chemistry or biology where if you mess up with those skills, you can kill people. I'm not sure what I teach can if they get it wrong, can kill people. But still, you still want people to have that hands-on experience as much as possible. But you also want them to be able to analyze what a graph is talking about. You want them to be able to measure things with uncertainty. You want them to be able to give you an answer with uncertainty. And frankly, what I found was in face-to-face labs, although at the beginning we were all fresh, by the time we were getting to the important bit, which is the data analysis, I could see everybody's eyes glaze over. So I found actually with online labs, I just feel that works so much better. So I say online labs do have significant value. I didn't think they did at the beginning, but now I think they do. I record videos and instruct students for part of the time. So part of the time I'm instructing on how you do things. And then I'm their lab partner. Now, yeah, I got 40 years experience, so I'm probably better than the typical lab partner, and I actually know what the lab's about, so that's a tremendous advantage as well. So I go away and gather the data, just like happens very often in lab class. There's one person who's the scribe and there's the other person who's the data collector, face to face. And I bring the raw data back, and then I say, man, how are we going to analyze this? And at the beginning, I guide them through it step by step. What's the uncertainty in this? What do we do about these uncertainties? How do we combine them? How do we get this value? Should we plot a graph? Etc., etc., etc. Towards the end, I'm saying, well, we know how to deal with this. You go and do your bit, and I'll do my bit, and then we'll compare. So then we individually process and analyze the data. And I'm showing them less and less as time passes. And then what I'm finding when I look at the students' materials, when I'm not showing them the graph, when I'm not doing the math for them, the analysis is much better, I think, now than on face-to-face. They're not 2 hours trying to get out of the room. They're doing it when it's convenient to them, and it seems to work well for them. So I've changed my mind on online labs, and I'm looking for ways when I go back face to face I can incorporate some of these improvements. Then the last thing that I would say is future. I really want this technology to be I found it refreshing. I've recorded videos for about 7 or 8 years, and you just put them online. Little homework help videos, but I was reluctant to go online and do as much as I am doing now, but I found it quite refreshing. I'm expecting to incorporate the technology in some form or other in all types of the courses that I use now. So I'll be doing Zoom office hours from now on, I know that. And I'll be doing tutorials with people through Zoom. I'll be trying to incorporate some of the some of this technology into the labs, even when they're face to face. I'm hoping colleges will realize the widespread use of technology can significantly improve instruction if faculty are given the time to cultivate student-teacher interaction and harvest information about how the students are learning. This is the thing I saw. In the last exam I gave, I had a student was flagged, and they were flagged because they got up from the camera and they turned around, there was a whiteboard there, and they started working out the problem so the camera could see it. And I thought, that's really smart because I can see exactly what the student's doing. And then another student was actually working through the questions and talking and saying, well, it could be this one, but I think it's that one. And let's have a see, he said so and so. And so they were going through and verbalizing what they were thinking. And what that means is that when we review, I can not only see they got the question right or they got the question wrong, but when they got it wrong, I can see why they got it wrong, and they can see what they were thinking at that moment. I can imagine what it would be like if we could just look over everybody's shoulder as they did the homework and tap them and say, why did you do that? Well, I think the technology is here now that we could actually do that. The problem is, if the colleges turn around and say, oh, this is easy, we could have 45, 80, 100 people in the room. You know, these guys, they can just use the technology and it's no work. And I hope they don't do that. I hope they turn around and recognize the fact that we can improve education through technology rather than just getting it cheaper through technology. So that's my little hope for the future. So there we have it. And I'll look forward to seeing your videos in the upcoming days. Thank you.